Because we're talking about creepy Uncle Joe in this segment, the Uncle Joe who likes to grab guns and other things, today's featured shirts are Creepy Uncle Joe Hands and Make Our Guns Illegal and We'll Declare Them Undocumented. These and over 90 other designs are available on a shirt, hoodie, or a mug, and your link is in the description and in the pinned comment. It always amazes me that while interviewing a political megalomaniac, every interviewer and so-called journalist pretends that they're not interviewing a megalomaniac. Your typical psychopath knows he's doing wrong, but he lacks the capacity to care. That's how they can stand up there as a politician and pretend they're not corrupt while engaging in the most corrupt practices you can possibly imagine. That's how they can show their faces day after day and try to convince you that they're God's gift come down from on high to save humanity. And you can only be in politics if you're a psychopath. Political power would not interest you in the slightest if you weren't psychopathic. The occupation of politician magnetically and magically draws psychopaths and megalomaniacs with more power than any flame or light bulb could draw any desperate moth to itself. So when you see another face of evil, in this case Joe Biden, standing behind a bank of microphones as if any of his pathetic words are worthy of being recorded, and the throng of reporters eager to hear what another political liar has to say as they carry on with the pretense that what he says is noteworthy and true, I just can't help but chuckle to myself, pondering that the sheer insanity and seriousness of this whole scene is as ridiculous as your local grease-covered, toothless shade tree mechanic delivering your firstborn in the back of a 1979 Volkswagen Jetta in the middle of a Cat 5 hurricane while being held at gunpoint by FEMA. So let's treat this Biden interview with the harshness it deserves. Roll the frickin' tape, because Joe comes out verbally swinging as he uses up 50 seconds of precious oxygen, emitting CO2 in the process, to convince you, like all corrupt politicians do, that he's serious about stamping out corruption.
Before you, I'm going to make a quick statement here. We got to get something straight. All this talk of the president about corruption comes from the most corrupt president we've had in modern history. He's the definition of corruption. He's corrupted the agencies of government, from the Defense Department, from the State Department, from the Justice Department, all about making sure that he, in fact, allows somebody else to pick his opponent for him. That's what this is about. And I am not going to stand for it. And I'm not going to respond to it. I'm not going to talk about anything other than what the facts are. He's indicted himself by his own statements. This is not about me. It's not about my son. There's not a shred of evidence there's anything done that's wrong.
He's the definition of corruption.
All politicians are the definition of corruption, Joe. That's why it's ludicrous that anybody in 2019 still takes these suit and tie wearing snake oil salesmen seriously. And now, the desperate clamor of media prostitutes.
You have said that you didn't support an impeachment inquiry unless the White House was stonewalling document requests. The White House is, Democrats are having trouble getting documents. Do you now support the impeachment inquiry?
I want you to note right here that Joe just stuck his hands in his pockets, which is pretty rare for politicians, because they make their living keeping their hands in other people's pockets. Unfortunately, politicians have learned that they can keep their hands in their own pockets and in the pockets of others simultaneously.
Yeah, I said from the beginning, the constitutional process, notwithstanding what he calls it, he calls the impeachment proceeding a coup. A coup. He talks about how we should handle whistleblowers. He talks about there will be a civil war. This is the guy that's unhinged. He is unhinged. I worry about what he's going to do, not about me or my family. I worried about what he'll do in the next year in the presidency as this thing continues to rot on his watch.
You spent so much time in the Senate. The Senate is where there would be a trial of this president. If you were in the Senate, would you vote to convict and remove Donald Trump?
I am not going to speculate what I would do in the Senate. I'm a former vice president. I know what occurred in Ukraine. I know what occurred in terms of China. I know what occurred in terms of Russia. This is a president trying to get two of our most serious competitors and not allies to decide this election, decide who he runs against.
I know what occurred in Ukraine.
Yeah, we know what occurred in Ukraine too, Joe. And we know it because of you.
I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko. They would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting $1 billion. I said, you're not getting $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a got fired. And they put in place someone who was solid at the time.
Yeah, never mind about the obvious corruption of giving Ukraine $1 billion tax-extorted dollars from the American people. He literally initiated a quid pro quo, the very thing libs are condemning Trump for. But I guess Joe here is allowed to commit a criminal act by abusing his political power. So yeah, Joe, we know what happened too, you criminal.
I know what occurred in Ukraine.
Thanks for filling us in. Like I've said in past videos, the Trump-Russia collusion story and this Ukraine incident are being used as a cover story to keep the sheep grazing happily on the pasture of the plantation while they remain distracted, deceived, and divided so that the international bankers can complete their Agenda 2030 plan of world domination.
This guy, like all bullies, is a coward. He does not want to run against me. That's what this is about.
How is your role? Excuse me, there is a photo of you golfing with your son Hunter and his business partner Devin Archer. Do you stand by your statement that you did not discuss any of your son's overseas business?
Yes, I stand by that statement.
Yes, I stand by that statement.
And of course we can believe creepy, touchy-feely, you don't need an AR-15 gun-grabbing political parasite, corrupt warmongering psychopath Uncle Joe, right?
How is your role as vice president in charge of policy in Ukraine and your son's job in Ukraine? How is that not a conflict of interest?
Finally, a great question. I wonder what Joe's answer is going to be.
It's not a conflict of interest. There's been no indication of any conflict of interest from Ukraine or anywhere else. Period. I'm not going to respond to that. Let's focus on the problem. Focus on this man, what he's doing that no president has ever done. No president.
Focus on this man, what he's doing that no president has ever done. No president.
Was your Romney and all these
Iranian hackers? Was your campaign targeted by the Iranian hackers?
I have no idea whether it was or not.
Mr. President, a question, Mr. President, about if you had, right now you're talking about this and you're saying that you're only going to talk about the facts, right? How do you prevent this, though, from being a burden to your candidacy, as everybody here is talking about it and it's going to follow you around?
Because the irony of all ironies is you press people are doing your job. You're pointing out when he's flat lying, where there is no evidence, none, not a scintilla, not one little tiny piece. The American people know me and they know him. They know, even the people who support him know this man lacks character. Even the people who support him know he lies constantly.
The most interesting thing about this is not that a slimy politician who lacks character and lies constantly is talking derogatorily about another slimy politician who lacks character and lies constantly. The amazing thing is that society gives these people a platform and shoves them into the spotlight as our leaders. As corrupt as they are, it's incredible that we even have a functioning society at all.
So look, I'm not worried about here's what I'm worried about. I'm worried that he gets so unhinged, and with a year left to go in this administration, he does something really, really, really stupid in terms of our international interest. I don't mean about our election. That's already, he's basically acknowledged he's tried to get people to interfere in our election.
I don't mean about our election. That's already, he's basically acknowledged he's tried to get people to interfere in our election.
And that's the big thing for people, election interference. Elections don't matter, folks. Elections don't get us any closer to freedom. Elections don't release us from transgenerational debt slavery. Elections don't make us any less enslaved to our banking masters. Elections do, however, make the slaves happy. Elections do make us feel like we're free, but let's face it, facts don't care about our feelings, and there are none more hopelessly enslaved than those who falsely believe they're free. Leave your thoughts about Pervy Uncle Joe for the world and the Google Thought Police in the comment section below. And if you want to support this channel, one of the best ways you can do that is to give this video a like and share it everywhere you can on social media. You can also help the channel grow by getting a snowflake melting shirt, hoodie, or mug from the shirt store. There are over 90 original designs almost guaranteed to put a crack in the matrix and start a meaningful conversation. Your link's in the description and in the pinned comment. I'll see you guys in the next heavily censored shadow ban video.